Okay, so he would take it from there. Like, you ready?
I love that movie. It is
Oh, I guess I was I love it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Amanda Schlesinger. I am the owner of Hustle and Heart Real Estate Group and Empower Brokerage, and I'm putting on this event of Co-Creating a Beautiful Life workshop and series because, sorry, I get emotional about this because I feel like there's a lot of knowledge and power with the people that I surround myself with. I've gone to a lot of seminars and a lot of self-help workshops throughout the years, and I feel like, you know, when we do things together, we can help raise the vibration of ourselves, our loved ones, our community, and together we can change the world for the better. So that's really where this came from, and I wanted it to be a free event because I feel like, you know, a lot of people don't have the ways and means to go to some of these big events, you know, but people all need that help on how to be the best versions of themselves, and that's why we do things that's a free event and ask for donations if you can, but don't ever let that hold you back from coming. There's a donation box up front, plus there's a Venmo if you'd like. But don't ever let that hold you back because we're going to host them every 3 weeks. We're going to have a different speaker that's going to hit on different aspects of your life. We really want to bring together the mind, body, soul, spirit, success, career, community, all into one aspect to help us all be the best versions of ourselves. So I'm really grateful for each and every one of you to be here.
Would you tell us where the donations are going to?
Yeah, there's a donation box up front. There's a little basket right up front. Right by where everyone's signed in.
Are they going to a nonprofit?
They are going to a nonprofit. So they are going to my Spread the Love nonprofit. And what that is that's where we go out throughout the community and do random acts of kindness and serve those in need. On top of bring in other sponsors from out the world to basically keep doing what we're doing. So just know that they're going to good deed. She knows that. She's actually here she runs the Lantern House down here, and she's
absolutely. I don't run the Lantern House. I'm just a family case manager.
She's a family case worker, but we've done a lot of events down at the Lantern House with her and put together events like Every Kid Deserves a Birthday, where we went down and gave all the kids in the homeless shelter. There was like, 50, 60 children that we gave a birthday party to. You know, so we do a lot of things to give back to the community, so that's kind of where we're going with this. But we're excited to announce our guest speaker. This is our series number 2, and our guest speaker is Stacy Bernal, and she's the queen of badassery. She is, and I can speak that because I know her, love her, and trust her, and she truly is a badass. So let's give her a warm welcome. We got Stacy Bernal. Talk about embracing your inner badass. Thanks, baby. Thank you so much. Love. Oh, okay. I'm grabbing my wine.
Where's the wine?
That's all right.
I'll have some after.
Yeah.
I don't need to get sloppy just yet.
No.
So sometimes I think I need to reconsider that ambassador badassery, because then I have to step up, and it's like if I don't bring it, people are like, I don't know. I don't know that was a good title. So, okay, I'll leave those lights on back there. Can everyone somewhat kind of sort of see this?
Yeah.
Okay. First things first, I have a little housekeeping list. I did this presentation a couple weeks ago in Logan. Who's familiar with the vibe in Logan, Utah? And I presented it to the Women's Council of Realtors there, so a bunch of professionals that I've been working with for a few years, so I knew the vibe I was walking into. So this presentation, although slightly modified for today, when I gave it in Logan, it was called Kickstart to 2019, which is still pretty much what it is, but this is Embrace Your Inner Badass, or Badassery. Yes, we all have it. I know a lot of you in this room, so I know, like, I'm already speaking to the choir, but so you kind of get the gist that I'm kind of a PG-13-ish kind of speaker. Hopefully that doesn't offend anyone or turn anyone off, but I say that there's some people that are Pollyanna and there's some people that are pink. And I can be Pollyanna when I need to be Pollyanna, but I feel like in this setting I'm going to be pink.
We're pink.
That's okay. Yeah.
We're pink.
So, okay. That was item number 1. I have recently gotten some feedback on presentations I've done, and one of the words that someone used to describe me was raw. And I'm like, am I sashimi? Like, what do you mean? like raw. So, forewarning, I maybe talk about some things that are a little tough. I don't necessarily think that's raw, I think that's keeping it real. So, I'm gonna do that today, okay? I had another comment that someone said, I talked about my trials, but I didn't talk about ways that you can deal with your trials. Hopefully today, you feel like you're going to get something out of this that is applicable to your lives. And I can't stand up here and give you a to-do list on how to do your life. So hopefully you've brought yourself that's willing to take in, whatever you're gonna take away today, it's what you're here to get. Okay, so hopefully you're all on board for that. And also I have been told that sometimes I trigger people. And I'm going to say this is like a hashtag sorry not sorry. If I say something, and this comes from a place of love, but if I say something and you are triggered, I am not responsible for how you feel, okay? And again, from a place of love, but if you are triggered, that maybe means like, we need to look internally, because I'm going to share parts of my story, and I kind of hope that you are triggered, because that means you need to do something, right? So let's commit to courage, as my girl Brene Brown would say. And also I have one last question. Do we need to have a safe word? Do we need to have like an out, like is there anything that like,
No.
if you need to tap out. Okay, so now that I've sufficiently frightened you, does anyone want to go ahead and you're like, what did we sign up for? Like we just thought we were getting some free lunch. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some ways in my journey that I found my inner badass, and hopefully things that you can use in your journey as well. And having told you a little bit about myself, I do want to let you know I am an award-winning speaker. I don't know if you guys can see this in the back or over there in the side.
I meant to announce that, but I got surgery 12 days ago, so I'm
no.
sorry I didn't do my introduction the way I should have.
You're totally fine. But that's part of like the joke is that I present myself as an award-winning speaker. So people have this persona, they have this idea of what they're going to get, right? We do that. We want to sell ourselves and put our best foot forward. But that's the little sneaky backstory is that I won a public speaking competition in 8th grade. But like,
Yay! That's where the badassery started.
yeah, I know, right? 8th grade was a good year for me. I'm just gonna say that. I was first chair clarinet for the state of South Carolina. Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. But the story that I love about this newspaper clipping is that I forgot that this picture was splashed on the front page of the Goose Creek Gazette, our local newspaper in Goose Creek, South Carolina. But this picture showed up on the front page, and I was like, oh no. So I'm sure that my brain, in order to protect myself, I probably buried it very deeply in my psyche and forgot that this picture existed. Until my 40th birthday 2 years ago, my sister, who's a year older than me, and she always like, I'm always like, you're a year older, and she's like, I have this picture of you. And so she sent it to me for my 40th birthday, and it was so fitting because that's kind of when I started this journey into speaking. And so to remember that my 8th grade self had won a public speaking competition and kind of had laid that groundwork that, like, I forgot about that too. And 27 years later, I was like, oh yeah, I'm an award-winning speaker, and I'm totally gonna start saying that. So there you go. That's how that came to be. I have started coaching some clients, and I have a curriculum, and I have 6 C's. I call it my 6 C's to badassery. Now today, I don't want to inundate you with a bunch of words that start with the letter C, so we're going to talk about 3 C's to badassery. So for those of you who can't see, I'm just going to read this for you. The first thing we're going to talk about is clarity. Clarity is your why. Clarity is the reason you get out of bed in the morning. It is the reason you do everything that you do. Knowing that is the first step in getting started on your path to badassery. Cultivating pearls is my take on when life gives you lemons. What do you do with them? So when I talk about cultivating pearls, it's overcoming limiting self-beliefs and shifting perspectives. And we'll talk about some stories about that. And communication and congruency. I joined the National Speakers Association a couple years ago, and this organization meets once a month, and it's a group of speakers, and they bring in a speaker, and the speaker speaks about speaking, and it's like, speak, 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 speak. That's what you do for this entire evening. But someone said one night, no matter what you do in your business as a speaker, be the same off stage as you are on the stage. And I feel like that so translates to just life in general. I'm gonna be who I am all the time. You're gonna love me or you're gonna hate me, but I'm not going to adjust myself accordingly. So what that's what we're gonna talk about is communication, congruency, and being the same off stage as you are on stage. Who knows who this handsome fella is? Simon, did you say Simon Sinek?
No, I don't put my
I did.
glasses on. But that's what I said.
That's just because I just read it. Yeah.
Okay. I know.
But I didn't know what it looked like, but I recognized the book cover.
So this is my friend Simon. And by friend, I mean that I listen to his audibles and I read his books and I've watched his TED Talk and I might have a slight crush on him. He's super easy on the eyes and he's very smart. And if you do decide to listen to his audibles, he has a really engaging voice. I'll just say that. So I started reading and listening to Simon Sinek a couple years ago. And this book, Start With Why, and it's about leadership. I mean, it even says in the little subheading, it's a book about leadership. But everything that he talks about, it trickles down from organizations to leaders to just how we run our lives personally. So in Start With Why, he talks about the golden circle. He talks about organizations knowing what they do, like you know in your job, you're a realtor, you're a lender, you know functionally what it is that you do in your business. You know how you do it. You know that, the steps to get clients, the steps to close a loan. But do you know why you do it? So if you think about this professionally, why you do the things you do, but then personally, like really, why is it that I get up every morning? Like, I have to get my kids squared away, but what's your deeper why? And it's like your personal mission statement. You know how businesses have those, they're reasons for existing. And they usually have them plastered somewhere in their building. As soon as you walk in, you can see a mission statement. So your why is just that, it's your personal mission statement. So, how do you figure out your why? Is anyone familiar with Napoleon Hill, not to be confused with Napoleon Dynamite? Okay, Napoleon Hill, super old school. He wrote this book called Definite Major Purpose. Has anyone read that? I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of a boring read. It's what?
Insomnia.
Because it puts you to sleep? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's exactly right. It's insomnia reading, because it will just put you right out. So it's kind of boring read, but he talks about this definite major purpose, and it is figuring out literally. So I hired a coach last year, and he sat me down and he said, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you, because I was questioning my job at this point. I was, kind of questioning, I am raising a special needs child, so there's a lot of things that I have going on. And he said, write your definite major purpose. And so it was this document that addressed every facet of my life. But the first sentence on that definite major purpose was, I'm a wife and I'm a mother. So everything I do is ruled by that number one thing. In my personal life and in my professional life, everything boils down to my family. And I think for a lot of people that's probably the case. But then I just went on to say, I want my kids to be happy and successful. And I put their happiness and success before my own, which I was surprised, because he just said, sit down and write first things that are coming to your mind. So I have this whole document, and it does. It talks about what my professional goals are. It talks about the travel I want to do. It talks about how I want my marriage to run. So that's the number one thing, is kind of start with, how do you want your life to go? Because if you really don't have a clear idea, then how are you going to get there? So that was the first thing I did. Creating a vision board. How many of you in here have a vision board? That's the most hands I've seen when I've asked people in any setting if they have a vision board. I did a presentation at AAA for their management team, a corporate company, and I said, how many of you in here have a vision board? And I think one person kind of raised their hand. How many of you know what a vision board is? Does everyone know? Okay. May I share mine? Is everyone okay with that? So who knows Jack Canfield?
Jack.
You know Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack's easy to read.
Jack is easy to read. So he was one of the original creators of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and the dude has more money than God. My mom said, I don't think God has money, and I said, exactly. So Jack Canfield has more money than God. But he came to Salt Lake a couple years ago, and so I was gifted a ticket, which, you know, I'm always like, oh, thanks, universe. Like, it was a friend, he gave me a ticket. So then I felt obligated to buy stuff at this seminar. So I bought his whole package of like self-help DVDs and books, and this was part of it. So on this board, so some of the stuff that came in the packet was like, he already had some pre-printed your positive affirmations. And I think on a vision board, it is very important to have those positive affirmations. So there's some quotes up here that I really like to live by. I've got like fortune cookies and like the Dove chocolate thing. Like, these are just kind of like the nice fluffy words. Those aren't going to get me from point A to point B, right? So I think those are nice to have, but you have to have like your specific, what the hell do I want to do? So I am very specific. Eventually I would like to do a half Ironman. I do want to be, I don't want to be just like upload an ebook to Amazon. I want to be like a New York Times bestseller.
You will.
Like, yeah.
You will.
So they are on my list, very specific goals. And up until yesterday, this was empty, and this is why. I put certain goals up, and when I reach them, I take it down, and I put something else back up there. So there's always got to be something else, like, what else am I doing? We can't ever be still and stagnant. Like, there always has to be forward motion, movement. Places I want to go, I want humanitarian trips with my families. Well, let me tell you about this one specifically. I want to write a book. I'm like, that's on my list. I don't know the first thing about writing a book. So I sat down with a friend at the end of 2017 and I said, what do I do? And he went and he read my blog. I have a blog that has like 5 followers. It's not, like, no one reads it. But I'm putting it out into the universe, but nothing. So he read my blog and he said, you are a very good writer, but who's your audience? Like, you are talking to an empty closet. I'm like, well, what do? Like, how do I get people to read me? And he's like, start submitting instead of posting it on your blog, send it out to get published somewhere. I'm like, how do I do that? He gave me a list of people to submit to, and I started sending stuff out. So my goal at the beginning of last year was to get published in 5 new places. I got published in Scary Mommy, Autism Parenting Magazine, Her Magazine, Standard Examiner a couple times, and there was one more. But in any case, by March, I had gotten those 5 places, and I had no, like, it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been there, and I saw that visual, and it kept reminding me, have you done this thing? Have you, you know? And I got a lot of no's in there, because I sent a lot of stuff out, and I had plenty of no's, but I had 5 yeses, and that's all I needed. So I was like, cool. So I took that down, I fulfilled that goal, on to the next. The book is still, I don't know, it's deep in my soul, it's eventually coming out, but that's how you achieve those things, is putting it on your vision board. And then a character or a personality assessment. How many of you have done these? I know a lot of people in the real estate industry have done them. Yeah. So you go to some sort of online personality assessment calculator and you answer some questions and it spits out your results and it tells you your strengths, what you're really great at, what you're not so great at, where you can improve. The one I did was at viasurvey.org. I was reading a book called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acor, and this was the one that he recommended. So I went online and I took my survey, and it's free, so any of you can go on and do this. And it gives me like 25 character traits. And my number 1 is honesty, which I was honestly kind of surprised. I'm like, ooh, honesty? And my 5th was humor. I was like, why is humor so far down? I thought it would have been like vice versa. But in any case, but this was a really great tool for me because I have found in my business, in my growth, that those are the things that are getting me forward, is that I am honest. Am I alienating people along the way? Am I losing some relationships because of my honesty? I am. I absolutely am. But it's part of the journey and owning my story, so sticking to it. So your ways to start with why. Any feedback that anyone wants to share? I want you all to be, like, you're in a safe space.
I think you're kicking ass. This is great.
Okay, thanks. So the second C, cultivating pearls. Who knows how pearls are created? Or if you have a general idea. Do you want to share?
Okay, well, it actually starts with a grain of sand.
Yes.
An irritation,
Yes.
right? I know where you're going with this.
I did not.
Do not cast your pearls before swine. And so as an irritation, as a result of it trying to get this out, it builds and builds and builds with its saliva and becomes a pearl.
Wow. Did everyone hear that?
I don't think it's actually saliva, but that's
That
why
was-
my head says
yeah.
it.
That was perfect. So it's an irritant that over time and over this process, it becomes this gem, this iridescent, beautiful, valuable piece of jewelry. But it didn't start that way. And I started thinking, man, that's like things in my life that started out as something very hurtful and something very painful, and over time and really being able to shift perspectives, I could look at it differently. So my pearl, and I'm going to share one pearl with you, and please understand, I could make pearls for my ears, for a necklace, and I'm not talking like a short neck, I'm talking like the flapper necklaces, like long ass pearls. I could make a lot of pearls, okay? But I'm gonna share this one with you. When I was a junior in high school, I got pregnant, and let me back this up. I grew up in South Carolina. I grew up Mormon. So if you don't know what it's like to be Mormon out of Utah, you might as well have two heads. Okay, so we were already like freaks. So I already have all this going for me. My sister, she's a senior the same time I'm a junior, and she was the valedictorian of her senior class. So she was like the shining star, the perfect girl. She had a full ride to BYU, like she was perfect. And then here's me, the drum major of the band, and all of a sudden I'm like Juno, you know, trying to get through I was. But it was very juicy gossip, rightfully so. So one day I walked into a bathroom stall at school. And this is what I saw when I sat down. And let me tell you, this is a recreation of the bathroom door. We did not have cell phones in 1994, so I couldn't snap a picture. But here's a couple things about this picture, or about the words that this person had written. First of all, they misspelled my name. There is no E in my name. So I was already pissed off, because I was like, what? Like, if you're gonna write something derogatory about me on the door, maybe try to spell my name right. Are you talking about me, or is there some other knocked up hoe? I don't know. And it was not even grammatically correct, because it says Stacy Bernal, misspelled, in and knocked up hoe. Like, I'm like, who wrote this? In any case, when I saw those words, it was like daggers. It was so very hurtful. And I immediately left that bathroom stall, and I went to my guidance counselor's office and sat down and I said, I want to get out of here. Like, tell me how I can get out of here. And she pulled up my transcript and she was like, you need 2 credits to graduate. So you could go to summer school and you could get those 2 credits, but like, when are you due? Like, when is this baby coming? I'm like, oh, it's due at the beginning of July, like smack dab in the middle of summer. She said, I don't think you can do it. Has anyone ever been told, I don't think you can do it?
Especially a teenager.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm a band I'm pregnant. You clearly underestimate me.
She's struggling with it.
Clearly, you're underestimating me. So I did. I went to summer school. And I don't know if the person who wrote this knew, but I had also chosen to give this baby up for adoption. So I'm going along in my classes. By the way, I could only miss 2 days of my summer school classes, 2 days, and still be able to graduate. And so I'm like, all right, bring it on. Maybe this baby will come around the 4th of July and I'll get an extra day, maybe. you know how babies are. They're really cooperative with their schedule when they come. So I went into labor on a Wednesday night, and my mom was a labor and delivery nurse. So like I knew I was in labor, but I think I was trying to deny that I was in labor. So she's at work, and I'm calling her every 5 minutes. I'm in pain, like it's really hurting. And she's like, oh shit, like okay. So my mom gets off of her, she's worked all night. She gets home, she takes me to the hospital. The adoptive couple was already there. They've been waiting for years for this moment. This was a couple that I handpicked. We found them and I picked them and chose them to be this baby's family. So we get to the hospital. I have him on a Thursday morning, it's June 23rd. The adoptive couple said, what do you want to eat? We'll get you anything. And I was like, will you please get me some Ben and Jerry's? So they ran out and got me a pint of the fudge brownie Ben and Jerry's, brought it back to me, and I inhaled it, and then I threw it up, like all over myself. It was not my best moment. But, and then on Friday, I'm holding this beautiful baby boy in my left arm, and the lawyers came in with the papers, and they set him on that nice little table that wheels up to your bed, and they had me sign away my rights to this baby. And I said goodbye to him, said goodbye to the adoptive couple who I had become friends with. And it was hard to now break away from the relationship with them, and now they had my son. But this idea of myself that I held onto, that I was a knocked up hoe, that I had made a mistake, and I had done a bad thing, and I was a bad person, I held onto that very, very, very tightly and very close for many, many years, for decades. And then one day, I was like, maybe I could look at this a different way, and that I am a badass birth mother. That I did something at 17 years old. I made a decision that was extremely mature and extremely hard, and I gave life to another family who couldn't have their own. And was that really so bad? And that was like my aha, that was my first pearl. I shared this story with the Brigham Tree Mountain Board of Realtors. Who's familiar with Brigham Tree Mountain? So I was doing this presentation, and I had gotten it all together, and I had like a practice run in front of some friends. And one of my friends said, wait. You are sharing this story with people you're trying to do business with. Like, he's like, do you want these people to give you business? And I said, well, yeah. Like, they're realtors, I'm a home warranty rep, I want their business. And he's like, then I would not tell them this story. And I considered that, and I thought, if I tell this story, and if I lose business because of this story, then I probably didn't want that business. So I'm okay with that.
Amen.
Amen. So I did. I went in and gave the presentation, and here's what happened. People that I had been marketing for 2+ years came out of the woodworks to tell me things they never would have told me. I had a couple that came to me and said, we got pregnant when we were 15, and we just celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary. But because I shared that story, they now were in a place where they felt safe to share their own. The woman who runs the board came to me and said, thank you for being a birth mother, because I wouldn't be a mom were it not for a birth mother. And and did I get more business out of it? I maybe did, I don't know. But it didn't hurt. And so I started realizing, you know what? People like it when you share your story because it gives them permission to share their own. Because they then have the courage to know, like, well, if she went through that and she seems to be functioning fine now, so it's okay, like, because we're all a little broken. We all have our own pearls. Don't be afraid to share them. People love it. And that's part of the communication and congruency. Always be the same. And I think that was part of my journey, is that I always felt like I have these pieces of myself that are embarrassing and shameful, and I don't want everyone to know, so I'm just gonna hide them away. And by doing that, I felt like I wasn't being true to myself. And I couldn't ever be authentic, because I'm gonna highlight certain things about me. And it got kind of tiring. Hello. No, you're good.
Come on in, girl.
Yeah, we're just talking about pearls and stuff. And now you're forced to sit up front.
I know, right?
It's funny, you guys audiences are funny. Like, I think, like, do you think I'm Gallagher and I'm gonna like pull watermelons out and like get shit everywhere?
Yes.
It's fine, sit up front. People who don't laugh are like, who's Gallagher?
That means they're too young.
I know. So it was a comedian, he would like break up. So part of your badassery and part of your journeys is not being afraid of the shame. Brene Brown talks about how powerful shame is. And that, for example, I am a child sexual abuse survivor. So I was abused as a child, did not talk about it. Again, it was one of those things, you tuck that away. No one wants to hear about it. Tuck it away on a shelf, keep it quiet, which is what I did for years and years and years. And found out later as I started having the courage, I think because I was tired of carrying this very heavy burden that wasn't mine to carry. And researchers at the University of Texas found that not talking about abuse was more traumatic than the abuse itself. So think about that. We carry this very heavy weight, and carrying the weight is worse than the abuse was. So now I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna talk about it all the time. Again, because if someone hears me share that, and they have the courage to turn around and lighten that load for themselves, then I have lived my purpose on this planet. Oh, there it is. Loving ourselves. For those who can't see that, it says loving ourselves through the process of owning our story is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Brene Brown. Anyone else just love Brene? Yeah. So her newest book, Dare to Lead, she talks about leaders lead from two places. Has anyone else read or listened to this book and know the two places that leaders, they lead from fear or they lead from love? Fear or love. So that's like my mantra for this year is lead with love. Everything is, I mean, in your businesses, know that there is abundance, know that there is enough business for everyone. Having that, knowing that you're getting business because you're leading with love. Leading with fear means I'm going to be hyper competitive because there's not enough business and I've got to go out and stomp everybody else down. That's not the way it has to be. What was the we lift others, we rise by lifting others? Absolutely. Who knows who this lovely lady is? I know, it's kind of blurry.
Let's see the name at the bottom.
Okay, what does it say?
Is it Maya?
It's Maya Angelou.
Okay.
And her pretty famous quote, that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Some of you might have already heard me share this story. When I was, before I became a knocked up hoe, so it was the summer before that, I went to a 6-week, it was called the Governor's School for the Arts, and it was held at Furman University. It was very, very prestigious. I had to go through a really rigorous tryout to get into this Governor's School for the Arts. And then I got accepted, but my parents had just gotten divorced, we were living in a trailer. I did not have the funds to be able to go to this 6-week camp. But then I was gifted a scholarship, and I was able to go. So I knew the whole time I was there, everyone, all these kids around me, they came from families with money. And I was, like, came from a trailer park. So I kind of always, it was one of those things, like, just, keep it hidden, no one needs to know, like, they're out using their money and buying snacks, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna have my cafeteria meal, like, I'm good, I just have the food that's included with the money I've already paid. So Maya Angelou comes one night. She's the keynote speaker. Yeah, big deal. I'm at this camp with visual artists, musicians, the written word, all of these very creative, impressionable teenagers. And we're thrilled to have her there. So after she does her presentation, we go out back and we're waiting by the back door, like hoping for a glimpse and maybe an autograph, you know, we're like, so she comes out and there's this group of teenagers and we're screaming, Maya, Maya, Maya! And she turned to us and she said, it's Miss Angelo.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the picture that I took when she was saying that. And that is how she forever, I felt like she put me in my place, in my trailer park trash place. That I didn't belong there, that I had no manners, no couth. And I don't want to, she was a wonderful, very accomplished woman. But in that moment, that is how she made me feel. That I was kind of,
Which is crazy, because
I
that's
know.
her quote.
I know.
That's insane.
I know, right? And I wish that experience had gone differently because this presentation could be much different. If I could say, yeah, Maya's my girl. I met her, kept in touch. It wasn't.
Yeah.
She put me in my place. But now it's great because I can use it in my story this way. How are we treating the people in our lives and our circles? And it might be that it's that one opportunity we have and it's that fast, because that's how fast it was with her. She said those words and that was it, and that's how I felt. Or it could be our families, it could be our business associates. How are we leaving them feeling? And then even more importantly than that is how are we treating ourselves and talking to ourselves? Because we should be putting ourselves above all and not putting ourselves down and thinking, I am not capable of this, I don't deserve this, I am not worthy of this, because hell yes you are, of whatever it is that you want. There was one more point I was going to make about Maya, and I lost it.
It's okay.
But I will tell you this, whatever it is that you decide you want, however your badass journey looks, your badass is not someone that you need to create, or it's not some imaginary figure. You are your badass already. Your badass is already there. That same girl who was a victim of abuse, who was a knocked up hoe, who was this. I was a badass then. The journey will sometimes try to beat it out of you and make you believe that she's not there, and she is. You have to step back. You have to be able to re-examine those irritants, those grains of sands, and be able to look at them as the pearls that they really are. I don't feel like my journey was supposed to go any other way. I would not change the fact that I went through what I went through when I did, because it's made me who I am, why I'm here today, and able to share this with you, and hopefully you know that in your journeys as well. This is how you find your inner badass. I have one last thing that I'm going to have y'all do. And my lovely assistant Harmony will help me. This is a note to yourself. So what you're going to do, Harmony, will you pass out? There's pens in the bag. Because we are at the beginning of the year, I'm probably going to send these out to you December-ish. And because we tend to forget, there's like statistics on what you remember. So like as soon as you leave today, you're only going to remember 50% of what was said. And then tomorrow will be 30%. And by the end of the week, you're only going to remember about 10% of what was said today. So you're going to write a letter to yourself, and it can be whatever, I'm not reading it, no one else is reading it. You're going to address the envelope to you. You're going to write the letter, stick it in, and then at some point in time in your future, you're going to get this letter, and you're going to open it up, and you're going to be like, oh yeah, Stacy had us do that thing. So whatever you tell yourself. If you want to tell your inner badass from 20 years ago, I see you, I know what you went through, you were a badass then, you're a badass now, do that. If you want to tell yourself, thank you for doing what you've done to get me to where I am, whatever you want to tell yourself. Except for that I want it to be nice and I want it to be about your badass. So yeah, write your note, seal it up. I'm gonna take them back and then I'm going to send them to you later on. And that's all there is.
You want us to address them, right?
You address it to yourself. Yep. And you don't need to put a return address because my return address is on the back.
So I can tell you that I did this at a Tony Robbins. And it's in my file. The way that you literally, it was, I was talking to the other side. So I told you on that. It really is crazy what we know. I mean, that's why the manifestation, what we talk about, it really does manifest beauty. Do you want it?
Yeah.
Are we sealing it and writing our
Yes,
address
you
and
are.
everything? Okay.
Woo.
How's she gonna know where we're at? Just don't move.
And again, seriously, no one is going to see this except for you when you get it, and then anyone that you want to show it to later. But it's seriously, I mean, you could say whatever you want to say. You can say, I don't like Stacy's red hair. Here's the thing, I'm trying to grow it out. I'm sorry, I get it. I'm scruffy.
No, I
It's
like
so
it.
hard to maintain.
Didn't you cut it thinking it would be easier?
I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, this is badass, let's do this.
This looks really good. It looks like a Wonder Woman
Red
outfit.
mountains are so hard. Yeah. I use a shampoo that looks like a psycho scene in my shower every day.
So do I. I don't wash my hair in my shower anymore. I wash it in my fish tank,
Well,
so I can just like.
My shower's pink, so I can.
Oh, because the head. Oh, because the red.
Well,
So I can do that.
I refuse to shower in cold water.
Thank you.
Really?
And one last thing on a unrelated note, you are all now badasses, by the way, in case you didn't already know that. And I think I wanted to include this, but I forgot to include this as part of my vision board presentation. My definite major purpose, again, I want my kids to be happy and successful. So as part of that, my why is that I am doing an autism awareness event in Ogden in April. Some of you know my 13-year-old is high functioning autistic. The older he gets, the less resources we have. Autism is not going anywhere. In Utah especially, we have one of the highest rates in the nation. So I feel like part of my reason for being is to help other families in their autism journeys. So if anyone wants to get on board with that, I would love any and all help. So just throwing that out there for all of you. And thank you for all coming.
Thank you.
I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah, she needs to do it.
So while we're wrapping this up and writing our letters to ourselves, I know that you guys can continue writing and not look at me and whatever, but I just want to say thank you, Stacy, because I think we all have our pearls. We all have our shit. We all, and especially in this industry, it's really easy to get caught up trying to be something that you're not or keeping up with the status quo. And when I came into this industry, I shook it to its core. And I think that's what you're doing too. And it takes people saying, I'm not that stupid hoe. I'm not that drug addict. I'm not the things that we were told or maybe once were. And that's why it's important to me that we come together and we are real and we are authentic and we embrace not only our own inner badass, but each other's inner badass without that judgment being casted upon each other. We all have our good times and we all have our bad times, but you're right. It takes that sand and that grind and that, whatever it takes to make the pearls. And that is what makes us who we are. And we're all truly beautiful in our own unique ways. And I want you to know that I love you all individually for who you are, what you've been through, and I'm super grateful that you're all here taking part in this today. You guys mean the world to me. So thank you, Stacy. You are a badass. You are the queen of badass. And it takes a lot of courage to get up here and own your shit. You know what I mean? So props to you. You are making a difference in the world, and you are manifesting your destiny into reality, and I'm proud of you. You're welcome. Another thing that it takes is a lot of work behind the scenes to put these together. I do want to thank my amazing staff. Carly puts a lot of work into this. Kevin, our cameraman, puts a lot of work into this. Josh, Kenny, all of us, we all come together. And another big part of this is our sponsors. You know, our sponsors come in and they do this, they do the food. They provide it all for free for us, which is freaking amazing out of the goodness of their hearts. And they have their own intentions and dreams as to why they do what they do. And with that being said, I'm going to introduce our sponsor that did sponsor the event, but I'm also going to walk you through kind of what to expect from here. As you're finishing writing up your letters to yourself and turning them in, we're going to turn it over to Harmony, and then from there we're going to clean up the chairs and do a picture, and then we're going to do our raffle and giveaway. We also like to do a little short clip of video to sponsor where we'll all get up here with the picture and yell, co-creating a beautiful life, so that we can spread the word and spread the love to others who might need to be at the next event and hear these beautiful messages to own their shit and embrace their inner badass. So our sponsor for the day is the beautiful Harmony with Elevate Home Warranty, so let's give her a round of applause.
Stacy and Amanda have been talking about things manifesting. So on your chairs, you guys all have this envelope. It is not sealed for a reason. Inside is something that has been manifesting. So you can open up and read it, and it will either pertain directly to you, or you will know exactly who you want to give it to. And this kind of goes along with Amanda's Spread the Love campaign, because you're going to know exactly who deserves this, whether it be anonymously, someone on the street that maybe you slip a couple bucks in, someone that just needs to be told that they matter too, or your awesome coworker that is struggling with something and just kind of needs to be told. So this is something that I wanted to give to all of you to kind of help spread the love and kind of help improve someone's day even just a little bit. So don't be afraid to look at those. And someone has a little extra something in their envelope if someone wants to open it. There is a gift card in one of the envelopes.
Me. I manifested this shit. Just so you know. Spreading the love comes back by giving you receive.
So
thank you.
My name is Harmony. I work with Elevate Home Warranty. Our motto is to elevate lives. So hashtag elevate lives. Our company's motto is also to give where you live. So these all just kind of go hand in hand, and I love being able to share this with you all and to spread the love. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. God, and how crazy is that? Like, it really did come back. Thank you. I am gonna give it to somebody though, because one, I don't drink coffee that much, but I love you. Thank you so much. That was sweet. So I think from here, what we're gonna do is we'll do the raffle and giveaway. Carly, do you want to help me? Yeah. We can kind of grab this, and we have tickets. Did everyone put their name on a raffle ticket by the entry by the food when they came in? Yes? Yes. Okay, cool. Did we have a sign-in sheet, Carly? Okay, so what we're gonna do in addition to is we're gonna do a sign-in sheet where we take everyone's name, number, and email, and what we do is for every speaker we send out the slides from the speaker out of my name, number, and email is great. And we invite you to future projects. So we're not going to be selling you on anything. Obviously, it's a free event. Just know that we're literally trying to spread the love and give back to you in any way, shape, or form that we can by providing what it is that we get given here. So we'll be passing that along as well as we are doing these raffles and giveaways. So I hope you got your tickets ready. We have some pretty cool prizes. Okay. Hey, I like as I'm in here, I see some strategies on how to win. I do the same shit with my raffle tickets, just so you know. You'll bend it all crazy. I love it. Blow on it, rub it, like it's cool. Yeah. So we have some cool events, or some cool prizes. I'm actually gonna let Stacy come up and start picking. Yes, girl, get it.
These are so cute.
Okay, so this is Girl Boss and Badassery wine glass.
Yeah.
Woo!
Girl Boss and Classy.
Oh, you need that right. You are a girl boss, so I love it. All right, the next prize, I love it.
It's like Hustle and Heart mugs.
Woo! Hustle and heart, girl.
Rita Bailey.
Rita! I love it, little Rita. So Rita and her cute husband over here were sitting out in the hallway on the chairs out there, and they were like, do you know where Suite 202 is? And I was like, yeah, that's my office. And I'm like, that's really bad when people are showing up to your event before you. But like I said, I just had surgery, so I'm kind of running a little behind these days, but it's good. All right, our next one is an amazing ceremony, Hustle and Heart, Minky Light. So Ceremony is it's a local brand. If you guys don't know, I obviously love surrounding my local community and those of us within and try to help their businesses grow. It's a Minky Light blanket. They're based out of Logan. It's a beautiful family. And so if you guys need their contact info, I do them for all of my clients. So and giveaways, they're amazing. The next one is a Hustle and Heart pop socket for your phone. Let's see.
Nicole Gentry.
Yay! God, your robe's looking pretty hot over here. Let's go.
We got one more.
They rubbed on it in blue.
Yeah. I've never heard those tricks before.
Candace. Candace! Oh, I love it.
And then this awesome mug.
Oh, we got Wonder Woman
Woman
mugs.
jelly beans.
Oh, are they chocolate? Or what kind of jelly beans are they? And
Ken Bailey.
oh, he's like, your robe really is. Look, I know. That one was good. He's like, I'm not a Wonder Woman. We're good.
All right.
All right. Thanks for spreading the love, Ken. That was really nice of you.
Katie Sutton.
Wait, it really got this. It went from that end to that end. Okay, now if that doesn't really speak volumes of manifesting powers,
We're
that
supposed
was
to be
insane.
here.
That was insane. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed that